Explain in concrete terms what you would expect from a briefing. I understand it's hard to brief members on sensitive matters when Congress is out of session, but when you talk about bringing Congress back to have a briefing, I have talked to a lot of members who were disappointed in what they heard in the briefing, so to what end what would that achieve? And number two, what would you want Congress to do? Is there some piece of legislation? Lay out, besides the Gallagher bill, lay out something in concrete terms of calling Congress back.
Today you have 5 days before the president lets Taliban dictate that we leave Americans in Afghanistan. 5 days counting today. So what can we do? We've watched the last briefings that we had, the first briefing we had over a phone, where they cut people off after a few questions. They did it twice because after the first one, we had the State Department do it again, the exact same thing, leaving members in the queue with not being able to get their questions asked, when you know member after member has constituents, friends sitting in Afghanistan trying to get out. We had an in-person one where we were called back into session for a special session. After an hour and a half went, while lines were still lined down the aisle of Republicans and Democrats alike, the Democrats banged the gavel down and said we had to get back to the floor to work on $5 trillion of spending. As they worked the night before, late into the night, not one action was taken about Afghanistan. As they called the president, it wasn't about changing the deadline, it was about twisting arms to vote for almost $5 trillion, to deem it where you don't even debate it. So what would we do? We'd go back and get an update. Why would we get an update? Because what took place yesterday hasn't had that type of loss to our troops in more than a decade. In more than a decade, we have not lost that many troops in a single day. For the last 18 months prior to this administration, not one casualty in Afghanistan. But this president's action has put him in harm's way. We are a co-equal branch of government. We are elected by our constituents. We have a voice and we should use it. We should bring the administration in and have them answer every single question by every single member, which they would not allow us to do between now. And then we should go to the floor and we should allow a vote. Instead of the Democrats voting to deny Gallagher's bill from coming up, it would simply say this: still to this day, with 5 days to go, no one in the State Department will give us the number of the amount of Americans still in Afghanistan. Why will they not give you that number? Because they've made a decision to leave Americans there, and they don't want you to know what that is. We have a right to know. The American people have a right to know. And then we should pass as a body. And Gallagher's bill prohibits us from leaving on the 31st. The question should not be dictated by Taliban on the date. The answer should be based upon when Americans are fully and completely out of Afghanistan. That's what we would take up. It's simple, it's straightforward, and I believe if the president says what America says matters, let America speak and let America tell them.
Do you think you get better briefing now than what you got last week and the other 2 or 3 briefings you've expressed disappointment?
I've never had briefing at any given time. I've never had people hide from it. I will tell you, inside that briefing, I had Republicans and Democrats criticizing the State Department. Based upon the information they were given in the past, I had questions by Democrats I heard wanting an answer. They said they would not give it. Why would you quit? Why would you quit with 5 days to go? Why would you quit when Americans are still sitting over there? Why would you quit when you have allies, the UK, France, Germany, who have fought with us in Afghanistan, not because they were attacked, but because America was attacked, who have asked this president to extend the deadline so they can get their citizens out? Why would we turn our backs on them too? Why would the President Biden pick the Taliban over our allies and over Americans? It's very simple. It's not difficult. The only question lies with Speaker Pelosi. She wouldn't even take questions about Afghanistan. In a day, there was a greater death than the last decade. That's appalling. Yes.
All right, folks, thank you so much for joining us here at Golden State Times. If you're new to the channel, we encourage you to subscribe by clicking that middle button. Also, check out our previous video by clicking the video on the right, or a video you might enjoy by clicking the video on the left. Also, don't forget to click the thumbs up button and share this video on social media. Peace.